Hey, millionaire. Pop stars should be some of the wealthiest celebrities out there. After all, pop is short for popular music. But if they are as popular as their title suggests, then they should be selling out arenas often enough to retire before their 40th birthday. But we all know popularity doesn't last forever. And neither does a pop star's huge bank account. Even though everyone on Earth knows their name, they can still lose it all. This is our list of the dumbest pop stars who went broke. Be warned, some of their names on this list will shock you, especially the person who took our #1 spot. Number 7. Lady Gaga. I told you some of the names on this list would shock you. Lady Gaga has never filed for bankruptcy, but she was flat broke for a while. And it wasn't before she got famous either. In 2009, when she was on the radio and MTV pretty much 24/7, she only had a couple dollars in her bank account. That was the same time Bad Romance had just been released, and she was busy touring her Monsters Ball show. In fact, the tour was her biggest problem. She'd earned about $3 million in savings from her breakthrough hit, but the world wasn't giving her anything she wanted just yet. She was sure if she could just do it the way that she wanted, she'd get the attention of Arthur Fogel. In case you don't know, he's the CEO of Live Nation Entertainment and one of the biggest music promoters in the business. So, Gaga used every cent of her $3 million in savings to build her set for her tour, and it looked just right. And it paid off. Fogel spotted Gaga on that tour, and he took her as one of his clients. He's part of the reason why she's still a superstar today. She might have been penniless at the time, but she's worth about $150 million now. That gamble sure paid off for her. Number 6. Andy Gibb from the Bee Gees. Andy Gibb was one of the biggest sensations in the disco craze of the 1970s. The Bee Gees were all over the airwaves, and it seems like they always had a song at the top of the charts. Andy Gibb was very young at the time. He was just 19 when he debuted in America and became an international star. But he already had a serious cocaine habit. Not only was it draining his bank account, but it also was weakening his heart. The cocaine was guiding his career off the rails too. By the time disco started dying, Andy's career was already over. He had been fired from a couple of jobs on TV and Broadway musicals for showing up to work high on cocaine. It finally got the better of him. In 1987, he had to file for bankruptcy. He drained his bank account to buy drugs and was now in debt. He claimed he had a monthly income of just $8,000. But sadly, it wouldn't matter for much longer. A few months later, he went to the hospital for severe chest pains. Just 3 days later, he died. The cause of death was heart inflammation, sparked by a virus. He probably would have survived easily if he hadn't weakened his heart with all that cocaine. He was only 30 years old. Can you hit subscribe faster than these pop stars could spend all their cash they made on their last tour? That gives you about 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you're guaranteed to know all about the future stars who'll go broke too. But for now, keep watching. You won't believe which pop star took our #1 spot. Number 5. Dionne Warwick. The easiest way for a star to collect an unpayable amount of debt is to simply not pay their taxes. That's exactly what happened to the legend Dionne Warwick. Back in the day, her $5 million contract with Warner Brothers was the biggest ever earned by a female singer to date. More recently, she's made a bit of a comeback thanks to her hilarious Twitter account. But things weren't always going so well for her. Back in 2013, it caught up to her, and she was forced to file for bankruptcy. She claimed she owed a shocking $10 million in debt due to unpaid taxes. That's a lot of debt to climb back from, especially when she claimed she had only $1,000 left in cash. But the bankruptcy filing meant it was scrapped from the record. Lucky her. I guess even her walk on by and I say a little prayer money couldn't cover that kind of debt. Amazingly, she had actually paid back the taxes owed. The $10 million was all penalties and interest she's gathered over the years. Number 4. Blue. All of them. How does every member of the same band go broke? Easy. They can start a company that goes bankrupt and drags them all down with it. That's what happened to the English boy band Blue. Their company, Blue World Limited, was started to manage their social media and other stuff like that, but the band would have been much better off if they'd never started it in the first place. It went bankrupt in May 2013, and just 4 months later, Duncan James became the first member of the band to officially file for bankruptcy. His bandmates all joined him within the next 2 years. They were still touring at the time. Duncan said it was a relief to file for bankruptcy because before that, he was so stressed about trying to stay on top of the debt. At least they all got to start again. Which pop star is your favorite of all time? Did they go broke? Or did they hang on to their millions? Tell us in the comments, and keep watching to find out which superstar is in our number 1 spot. Number 3. MC Hammer. MC Hammer earned millions thanks to his smash hit, You Can't Touch This. Obviously, that won't surprise anyone. Singing in a crowded room today, and everyone will still join in decades later. But it is surprising to learn he went bankrupt soon after that song took the world by storm. How did he lose all that cash? Well, he spent it. Shocking as it is to believe, MC Hammer still overspent while the millions were rolling in. Rumor has it he was strutting through the city in his iconic pants, surrounded by a 90-person crew at the time. He also spent $90 million on a mansion and related tax payments. And that was just the start of his luxury lifestyle. All that spending added up, and soon, he was filing for bankruptcy. He owed $13 million at the time, and this was in the 90s. I guess this story proves that it doesn't matter how much you earn. It's still possible to spend it all. Number 2. Shane Filan from Westlife. Westlife was about as big as a boy band gets, but Shane Filan was still forced to file for bankruptcy in 2012. At the time, the band was still touring. They even played to a whopping 80,000 people for their farewell tour, but he was flat broke at the time. And sadly, it wasn't because he blew it all. He accidentally got mixed up in the bursting property bubble in Ireland. He had taken out loans with his brother to build a giant 90-house property development, as well as a nursing home and supermarket. It was all looking good until the property market totally collapsed. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was $18 million in debt as a result. Sadly, he even had to sell the $3.9 million house he designed himself to try to stay afloat. He told the media at the time that he couldn't afford the $30 toy his daughter wanted. That's pretty heartbreaking, but hopefully he's gotten back on his feet by now. Number 1. Michael Jackson. This will blow your mind. But even the king of pop was able to blow all his cash. Nobody knows exactly how much he earned throughout his glittering career, but you can bet it was even more than you think. The problem is, that lifestyle cost a shocking amount of cash. At the wrongful death trial, after he passed away, it was revealed that he collected a mind-blowing amount of debt over the years. According to experts, his interest payments were his biggest expense. That's pretty shocking when you consider his Neverland Ranch was costing $4.6 million per year to maintain. People were also surprised to learn that his tours cost him so much that he sometimes would break even on expenses. Even though he was selling out arenas, he never officially filed for bankruptcy, but maybe he should have. At the time of his death, he owed between $400 and $500 million. It turns out even Michael Jackson doesn't earn enough to climb out of that kind of debt.